Hi my friends, today I'm going to show you 3 holiday gift ideas that you can make out of scrap fabric. First up is this apron. Admittedly, you need a little bit more fabric for this, but you don't need anything more fancy than I'm using here, which is an old bed sheet. You're going to start by cutting up 3 rectangles. To get the measurements for these, you're going to take your waist measurement and times that by 0.75, so you get 3/4 of your waist measurement, and time that again with 2.5. For the length, you're going to measure how long you want it and add 5 centimeters for hem and seam allowance. For the ties, I'm making 2 rectangles that are the same width as the big rectangle and 10 centimeters wide. Now we're going to iron the short sides of the big rectangle 2 centimeters in. I've made a marking 4 centimeters into the fabric to make this easier. Open the fold and press again towards the crease of the fabric so you get a double fold, and top stitch the sides down. For the bottom edge, you're first going to press it 4 centimeters in, then open the fold and press 1 centimeter in, and then top stitch this down as well. Give all of your finished edges a good press before we turn up the stitch length and sew 2 rows of gathering stitches along the raw edge. One a little bit less than a centimeter down and the other a little bit more. Remember not to secure the stitch at the beginning and the end. Now turn the stitch length back down and sew the short edge of the small rectangles right sides together with 1 centimeter seam allowance. Press open. Now we're going to mark our 3/4 waist measurement on the center of the waistband. For me that's 51 centimeters, so I'm going to measure half of that, 25.5 centimeters on each side of the seam we just sewed. I'm also going to mark the halfway points between that and the center on the waistband, as well as on the top edge of our skirt. We're now going to pull on the gathering stitches so the markings match up. So I'm tying off the threads on the sides of the fabric on both sides of the gathering stitches. Then I pull on the other threads until my skirts fit within the markings on the waistband. I spend some time making sure my gatherings are nice and even before I needle and sew it all in place, right sides together with 1 centimeter seam allowance, which should be in between your gathering stitches. Now you can remove your gathering stitch. And I don't like to press my gatherings, so I just hover my iron above them with the seam set on max. Now fold the waistband over right sides together, pin and sew along here with 1 centimeter seam allowance. Once that's done, trim away the excess fabric at the corners, turn it right side out and press. Make sure that the seams are getting all the way to the edge. Repeat on the other side, then press the unfinished part of the waistband 1 centimeter down and fold it in half, enclosing the raw edge. The last thing to do is to secure this edge down. You could use the stitch in the ditch method, but I prefer to hand sew it like this. And there you have it, a super simple and cute apron made from old bed sheets. the next one. To make this handbag, we're going to start by making sure we print it out at 100% scale by measuring the pocket to be the right size. Then taping together the pattern, which you can get at my Etsy shop, linked down below. Right now there's a 40% discount on the bag and all of the other items on my shop. I'm using this scrap piece of fabric, and as you can see, the strap is too long to fit. The way I'm fixing this is by drawing a line down the middle, that's where the middle notch is, and marking 1 centimeter away from that. That's for the seam allowance. Then I'm going to fold the pattern piece on this line and cut 4 pieces of the half strap instead of 2. I like to use my ruler and my rotary cutter to cut out the strips and the pattern piece for the shaping at the end. To make sure the points are the right way, place 2 of the strips on top of each other, right sides facing up, and cut. For the other 2 you do the same thing, but with the pattern piece facing down. Make sure to also mark the notches. If you have long enough fabric, you just fold your fabric selvage to selvage and cut out the pair. Then just cut out the rest of your pattern pieces with the grain line parallel to the selvage. When it comes to the lining, you can use the same fabric as your shell fabric, but if you're not and you know being able to see the lining fabric break through like this will annoy you can draw a line 4 centimeters down on your pattern and then 1 centimeter on either side of that line. From the bottom to the top line is now your new lining pattern, and you are going to cut a part from the top to the bottom line in your main fabric. Again, this step is optional. You can just cut out the lining with your pattern piece as it is, if you want to do that instead. The last thing I'm going to cut out is some interfacing to stiffen the fabric a bit. If you're working with stiffer, sturdier fabric than me, you can skip this step. I don't need to stiffen the whole strap, so I'm just going to cut out the part between the notches and then a pair of this pattern piece. Now I'm going to sew all of these together, press open and press on interfacing on these pattern pieces. My fabric is fraying really easily, so I'm going to run a zigzag stitch along the edges. Now that we have all the pattern pieces, we're ready to assemble the bag. Start by pressing one of the long edges of the pocket piece 2 centimeters down, open the fold and press the edge towards the crease to create a double fold. Top stitch down and press. Press the other sides of the pocket like we did on the top and place it on one of your lining pieces. Top stitch it down with 2 stitches running next to each other like this. Press flat. Now sew the lining front/back piece right sides together with the shell at the top. Press the seam allowance towards the lining and understitch 1 to 2 millimeters away from the seam we just sewed and press like this. Repeat on the other side. Now sew on the bottom on the lining. Increase the stitch length and sew the front and back together 1 centimeter away from the edge. Also sew a line between the notches on the strap pieces. This is going to act as a guide for us when we sew the next part. We are going to sandwich in one of our front/back pieces between the straps. If you have a strap piece with interfacing, this is going to be placed with the right side facing up. Then you're going to place the front piece on top with the right side facing down, And then place the other strap on top with the right side facing down as well. Remember to match up the center notches. The other notches on the strap should match up with the top edges of the front piece. Now you could just needle this down and sew, but it's quite a challenge working around the corner, so I'm going to baste it down first using the stitches 1 centimeter away from the edge as a guide, like this. Then I'm going to secure it all down with my machine before I remove all the visible basting stitches and give it a good press. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the other front/back piece, except I'm only going to sew it to the outer strap. Trim away the excess fabric at the corners and turn it right sides out. Then press. Repeat on the other side. Then the last thing to do is to secure the inner part of the strap to the lining. I like to do this by hand, the same way we did with the apron. And it's all done. Just tie the ends together like this to finish the strap. The last holiday gift idea I have for you today requires the least amount of fabric. I have this lovely little bit of silk satin left after sewing these trousers this summer. I'll leave the link for the pattern down below. Anyways, for a scrunchie you're going to cut out a rectangle. I have quite short hair, so I don't want my scrunchie to be too big. So my rectangle is 60 centimeters by 10 centimeters. If you or the person you're making this for like bigger scrunchies, just make the rectangle wider. Fold your rectangle in half, right sides together, and sew along the edge with 1 centimeter seam allowance, leaving some space at the ends. Turn it right sides out. Sew the ends together like this. Cut the elastic a little bit longer than the width of your wrist and feed it through the tube. Sew the elastic together with 2 straight lines. Then sew the opening shut with a slip stitch. And that's it. 3 holiday gift ideas to make with your scrap fabric. If you make any of these, please tag me so I can see your beautiful creations. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more sewing content. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I'll see you in the next one.